So the other day, my wife messages me to let me know that she saw a box near one of the dumpsters in our complex with a child's drum set all packed up in it. And she thought I might want to go grab that either for a little recording experiment or maybe a video or just something like that, because as she's put it, it is comically small, which is kind of true. And so, yeah, I took her up on that offer and I went and I found it. And this is what it is. It's a first act discovery kit. You may have seen these at like a Walmart before. I think that's usually where they're for sale. It's a very cheap line of instruments intended for, little kids. I'm probably no older than 5 or so. But I figured, what the hell, it's free and it might be kind of fun to play around with. So my plan for this is to see if I can make it sound halfway decent. So, let me break down what we got here, what I'm gonna have to be working with. So the kit is as follows. There is a 8 inches wide by 4 inches deep snare drum, which is basically just a small tom with this little snare inside, which I have yet to open up and take a look at, but you can basically turn the snare off by turning this little tension knob to the left and turn it on, turning it to the right. You can hear it is not much. It's probably just like a wire or two. Then we have a rack tom, which is 8 by, I believe, 5 inches deep. And it's basically just a little 8-inch tom. The bass drum is essentially just a snare drum with no snare. This is 14 inches wide by, I believe, 7.5 inches deep. And so it comes with this little kick pedal, which I find interesting. Ozzy finds it interesting. It's got a little clamp on it, and this is how it connects to just the hoop of the snare. Sorry, not the snare, the bass drum. I can't help but think of this thing as like a snare drum now. No way to tighten it or anything. It just clamps and that's it. It does have a spring here for tension. The way that the pedal is connected to the beater, though, instead of using a chain like a normal bass drum pedal, it just uses this kind of cheap piece of sort of polyester tether, and that's what's connecting the two. Normally there is a little plastic beater that would go in here. It's about, I think, maybe this big based on the pictures I saw, but that was not in the box, unfortunately. So I'll have to put my own beater in here, and I have an extra one. However, any standard beater I can find is going to be way too big for this. It's going to be like hitting up here, and I can only put it into this socket about 1 inch. So I'll have to cut that down. I'm also not sure if it'll actually stay in there. So I'll probably have to put some kind of adhesive in there to keep it from just flying out of there. And so lastly is this cymbal, if you want to even call it that. It sounds terrible. It has no sound to it. It just sounds like a little thin piece of aluminum. I'm missing the actual, the holder for it. I'm assuming it's normally just like a little piece that would just slide right onto here. So I'm gonna probably just have to order one of those. I'm assuming somewhere I can get replacement parts for this thing. So I think I am just gonna order one of those. There's not really much I can do with this cymbal. Maybe I'll keep an eye out for like a cheap splash cymbal to put on this thing. I don't know, but it's worth noting that each of these toms has the snare and the tom, I should say, has 3 tension rods. And I believe the bass drum has 4, but this has 3, both of these do. And funny enough, originally I did not think that these had any tension rods on them. The reason being, this is how the previous owners had the kit set up. They were using the bottom as the top. Not that it really matters in a kit like this at all. Obviously this was owned by like a kid, as expected. There's stickers, but the tension rods were on the bottom, and I thought all they had were just these little, there's these it's just the bottom of the tension rods, I guess. I don't think they even you can really tighten them much or anything, but I'm definitely gonna play around with that. So I pretty much think that you can only tune one side of each of these, and that goes for the bass drum as well, but I'm gonna see what I can do. So I'm going to pick up 4 8-inch heads, 2 14-inch heads, and then get a beater and modify it. And then we'll see what we can do about maybe replacing this cymbal, at the very least getting the attachment so that we can put a cymbal on this thing. I took these drum heads off just to take a closer look at them, and I think I mentioned that I thought that these were made out of aluminum before. No, they're made out of plastic. This is thick plastic, and that is it. So I really had my work cut out for me. And I took another look at the snares, and I was right. There is a little bit of a snare wire situation, but it's more wires than I thought it would be. there are, it looks like 8, maybe 10 even, but they don't actually have anything connecting them on this end, which is part of, I mean, there's a couple of reasons why, but part of the reason why it just doesn't really have anything going on when you hit it, you barely even hear them, because there's no tension on them, essentially. They're just loose like this. And all you're doing is turning this knob left and right, which moves this little plastic piece, and that either raises or lowers it. And so when you turn it all the way to the right, it's kind of resting along the bottom snare head, you know, the resonance side of the snare drum, and so you kind of get a little bit of the snare sound to it. But that's it. So I think that just is what it is, and I'm just gonna have to work with that. I'm also not sure if a standard drum head is gonna be able to replace this, just based on the way that the rim of these snare heads, or these drum heads, look. I'm not sure if a regular drum head, a Remo or an Evans or something, will actually fit into this hoop, but only one way to find out. I recorded myself talking while I was at Guitar Center, but I was trying to be quiet and you can't really hear me. So I'll just say that I got Evans drum heads because they didn't have a whole lot of 8-inch Remos, but either way, they do fit in the hoop really well, so that was cool. I did get Remo heads for the resonant and batter side of the bass drum, which is cool. I thought those would look nice and sound the best. I also noticed they had this $300 club kit that's only a little bit bigger than this toy kit when you think about it. If I had a choice, I'd spend a little bit more money and just get a club kit like this over a toy kit, even for a child. So if your kid starts getting into drumming, just get him one of these.
But it'll rock your halls.
I still don't really get what the rock your halls pun is. I guess it's like deck your halls because of the holidays. I don't know. Hey, monkey. All right, so I ended up with black dot underside for the resonant side of the bass drum / snare drum, and the Power Stroke 77 coated for the batter side, and then I got 2 clear Evans G1s. Those will be for the undersides of the tom / snare, and then 2 coated G2s, 8-inch Evans for the batter side. I also got a pair of sticks, and lastly, thought this would be kind of cool, I got this. We'll see how this works on the kit, but I can put the cymbal on this, and I don't think that is going to fit easily by any means. However, I should be able to, at the very least, given the quality of the kit, I can at least always just tape it. A little unnecessary. This one I think is going to be trickier, but these drum heads are basically just plastic. That's all they are. So these could be birch shells. If the drum heads are just a crappy sheet of plastic and that's it, I mean, they'll sound better than this, but I don't know how much more. It actually fits on there really well. There's no threading, so I'm just gonna have to use some tape or something, but I'll just go with that then. Hey, buddy. Goofball. So now, all that's left is the bass drum pedal. Pedal itself is fine, it'll do, but I need to get that beater in there. And I've got a plan for that, but it involves bringing it over to my dad's place. That's next. So we need to drill this hole a little bit wider because the beater won't actually fit in there. Smart man.
You say that now.
So after we drilled the hole to get this thing to fit in there perfectly, which it does, we took this beater, an extra beater I had, and just cut down the shaft of it. And so now it's hitting more or less in the center. So now I got a proper beater on this goofy little plastic kick pedal. I did try using a regular kick pedal instead of this one, just so I can get myself some more power with the proper chain and spring. But because of the shape of where it grabs onto the rim of the drum, I couldn't really get it to sit in a way that, you know, didn't move this whole drum forward and out of place every single time. Usually this thing would just come right off. So we are stuck with the plastic, literally foot-shaped kick pedal. But you know, in a way that just kind of adds to the charm. All right, quick update. Originally I was thinking I wasn't gonna replace the cymbal on this thing. I was just at Guitar Center and they had this Meinl 10-inch splash cymbal for like 30 bucks. And it sounds pretty good for a $30 splash cymbal. It definitely sounds better than the little, you know, tin plate. So for 30 bucks, yeah, okay, I got this for the toy kit. And I think this will complete the setup. Yeah, look at that. All right. So to recap, we've got brand new drum heads on all three shells, the snare, the tom, and the bass drum. We've got a new cymbal, 10-inch splash, to replace the 10-inch whatever that was. And we've got a proper beater on this kick pedal. Not a proper pedal, we do have a proper beater. Little tiny guy. So with that, I think there is only one thing left to do. It's not bad. You know, it could sound worse, not gonna lie. What was the point of this video? No, what am I saying? The point of all of this, point of this whole thing, was to give Cluck McGill his own little chicken-sized drum set. Here you go, bud. Enjoy. You've earned it. And after all, isn't that the true meaning of Christmas? Or whatever?